The following program is produced by Project Bait and does not reflect the views of this station.
Well, recently we've heard a lot about what's happening in terms of the Detroit public schools, and one of the things that is most interesting is a situation that involves Safeway Transportation. Safeway Transportation, which had provided transportation for young people for a long time, lost its contract. But that wasn't enough. It lost its contract in a very strange way to the same people who were doing research about what's happening with the movement of children around the city. Patricia Whitlow, who's the president of that corporation, joins us. Patricia, could you tell the audience here what happened to you in relationship to this no contract bid that happened?
Well, what happened to me, first, it was a bidded contract, but First Student of Ohio, by way of Great Britain, was paid $85,000 in April of 2009 to perform an assessment of Detroit Public Schools Student Transportation Department. They were given an unprecedented access to all the records, my records, the other vendors' records, and were allowed to interview all personnel and come in and take a look at the transportation system. At the end of that evaluation, they prepared what we call an audit report with findings and recommendations. And then they were allowed to bid on a transportation contract for Detroit Public Schools. So in actuality, what Detroit Public Schools did was they paid a company to tell them what they were doing wrong and then let them bid on the work to do those improvements. So to me, that's a clear conflict of interest.
They let them bid on it, but then this company also got the bid.
That's correct.
How did that happen?
Well, I guess your guess is as good as mine. Supposedly that they were the lowest bidder, but the contract just wasn't bid out once, it was bid out twice. So bids were accepted and opened on August 31st, and then I guess they didn't like the response then, so then another RFP was put out for all the routes, which included DPS and the vendors, and then that was awarded on January 15th.
Would this contract serve which students?
This contract services all Detroit Public School students, regular ed and special.
When we heard about the Safeway situation, it was presented, I think, in terms of the general community, that this was a no-bid contract by Robert Bobb to this corporation that you mentioned before. But you're saying now it was a regular RFP. Wasn't the company, what is it called, First Transportation?
First Student.
First Student. Wasn't this company formed after they did the audit?
They've been in existence for several years. They just incorporated in Ohio, but what they've been doing, they're the largest school bus company in the United States.
Well, I want to get back to you, though. Your company has been around for 35 years. You and your father started it. You're from Detroit. You've done this all along. Was there ever a problem with the service that you provided to students? No,
and Safeway was started by 9 taxi cab owners. They took their life savings and they invested in buses, and that's how Safeway started. And it's now owned by 5 family members. We're all family members of the original owners. We have a stellar record with Detroit Public Schools. We're the only company in Detroit that has a GPS system on our buses, so we always know where the students are. And we work hard. And our record is proven by Detroit Public Schools' own records. If you ask them, they have nothing but good things to say about Safeway. So we were astounded on how we didn't get it, because we work hard and our drivers work hard.
Let me ask you this. How much money does this contract reflect, and what have you done as a result of your being concerned about this?
It's I'm told it's a $114 million contract over 5 years. My drivers and I, we went to City Council, and they passed a resolution saying that someone needs to take a look at this, and that We've provided nothing but good service to the city for 35 years. We went in front of the legislature, and we've been getting help from the Detroit delegation in Lansing. We also have talked to the Speaker of the House. We've had numerous protests, and right now that's about all we can do.
But Patricia Whitlow, president of Safeway Transportation, you are also in court. You filed, or you were engaged in litigation in relationship to this issue.
That's correct. We filed a case in district court, federal court, and we're scheduled to go to court on April 15. The case that was in front of Judge Torres a couple weeks ago was filed by a parent of a Detroit Public Schools student, one of my drivers, and then a community action group. And Judge Torres ruled that we couldn't show, or they couldn't show, irreparable harm.
Just in the small time that we have remaining, what is the district court matter? What's the contention there?
The contention is that the Sherman antitrust law was violated and our constitutional rights as a result of the way this whole RFP was constructed and the work that First Student did before this RFP was issued.
Well, we thank Patricia Whitlow, who's the president of Safeway Transportation Incorporated. We thank her, and like she says, 35 years ago, started by African-American business owners, specifically cab drivers, and now she is in federal court, and we'll find out more about what happens with this. We thank her for joining us on this edition of For My People. If you want to find out more about anything that you've seen here today, get in contact with us on our website at projectbait.blackgold.net. projectbait.blackgold.net. You can also reach us at youtube.com/projectbait.det. That's youtube.com/projectbait.det.
If you have a business in Metro Detroit, you should be in the Detroit Black Pages. For info, call 961-3289. That's 961-3289.
Hi, this is Ron Scott, and each week we have an opportunity to discuss a number of subjects right here on For My People, which is a production of Project Bait, Black Awareness and Television. We've had an opportunity to reach various publics, various people around the community. And most importantly, I talk to you from time to time. You see us out and about and say what you like about the program. And we encourage this. In fact, we've just instituted our new website, and we want you to take a look at it. In addition to that, we have the continuing effort to train a new generation of young people to continue the activities that Project Bait started with so long ago. I'm glad to be in your sight and talking to you each morning and afternoon, or whenever you see this program, when you watch Project Bait and For My People in particular. Economics, politics, and consciousness. That's what we bring to you, and that's what we want to continue to do, because it's your program. It's about you. And we thank you for continuing to watch, and I'm Ron Scott, and I've enjoyed it and hope to continue to bring you insightful information.
The preceding program was produced by Project Bait and does not reflect the views of this station.
Hi, join me, Lexi, Dottie Peoples, and other gospel